Now, I'm sure you're all very, very excited to see what's going to be in the game. And so, in order to do a bit of a deep dive into what that trailer was all about, I'm joined by the wonderful Stu Warren. Stu, thank you for joining me on the sofa. Is this your first time in the new set?
I've snuck in here before, but it's the first time I've been on one of these with...
You snuck in without me being present? Outrageous.
Around.
Outrageous. Well, look, thank you so much for taking some time out of making the game to come talk to us today. For those who don't know who you are, can you give us a brief overview? What do you do at Frontier?
Yeah, I'm Stu Warren. I'm an executive producer for F1 Manager 2024. I suppose my job really is to try and connect the talent on the team who build the game to the vision of the game that our directors hold, and help them reach that goal.
So you're a busy man.
Busy man, yeah.
So, all right. So for those of you who have probably guessed already, this is pre-recorded because, as we've just stated, your schedule is very, very busy. So I'm so thank you for spending your lunchtime with us to do this segment. So it is appreciated. So we're going to talk about Create a Team in depth in a second. But for those of you that don't know about Formula One Manager 24, can you give us a brief overview about what players can expect?
Yeah. So also, we'll talk about Create a Team in a moment, where you can create, lead, manage your own F1 team. There's deeper management in F1 Manager 2024, so greater depth, immersion, new systems like mentality. We're bringing to the game to really bring it to life. And F1 races brought to life as well. Improved behaviours of the cars. We're introducing mechanical failures for the first time.
It's odd that you're introducing a failure it's a good thing, right?
Yeah,
you wanted it, so now you're getting it.
And dynamic new cameras as well. So all that brings the races to life.
Yeah, I'm careful not to spoil too much, but I have seen the new camera and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
So Formula One Manager it's your one-stop. It's the dream of managing your own team,
yes,
right?
Exactly,
so from nuts and bolts all the way to the top, from managing the car, the driver, and all your factories and the bits in between, right? But as the trailer did show us, Create a Team is here, right? It's been requested a little bit.
It's one of the most requested community features. I think that's fair to say. And we've wanted to do it internally as well. The team are really excited and passionate about it as a feature. So delighted to bring it to the game this year.
All right, so we will be showing you some bits and bobs as we go along, as we talk through. But just overview, how does Create a Team work?
So it's an all new way to play F1 Manager. Essentially, you will be adding a 11th team to the grid. So we're not taking out a team and swapping you in. This is entirely new, 22 cars on track. Build your team, lead it, manage it to glory, hopefully.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's when you say it's, one of my points was why are we doing it, but I think you've covered it off. It's like every time when we look at the socials, one of the most requested features is to create their own team, right? I guess it's that legacy you're creating, right?
Yeah, so the community obviously, that they want it. We hear that. Our players, they love the agency of F1 Manager and being able to make impactful decisions that have a lasting impact. So kind of what more agency and impact to have than to creating your own team?
Yeah, no, indeed. So I guess when you look at a feature like Create a Team, what are the goals when you sort of for top level? Because I think it's, I can always say, just add this in, but there's always got to be like what you want players to achieve with this, right?
Yeah, our goals with this one are to give our players creative freedom. So we'll see a little bit of the creativity that can come from it today, and then obviously more to come later. We want to give them a platform to build their own stories, their own narratives. We've seen some of that in the community actually. I've seen people kind of writing up their backgrounds and histories of their
just to interrupt, this is what we're seeing on screen, right? These are the liveries you can create, right?
These have been made phenomenal with the tools by the team.
So this is what players can make?
Yes.
Right, okay. I mean, so this is a sort of level of depth and customization we can go into. Now, full spoilers here, chat. We are not going to show you the tool. We're saving that for another unlock. I know, but this will look at that. It's phenomenal. So this is what players will be able to create, right, for their own team?
Yep, they'll be able to create their own bespoke liveries for their car. Not just their car, we'll see in a moment as well. Racing suits, helmets.
Whole 9 yards, right? This is
build your team logo as well.
So, and when you talk about building a player's legacy, or players building a team's legacy, this is, like you said, this is the ultimate legacy, right? This is literally creating your team how you want it, and then seeing it through.
Yeah, that's it. When you start out, you'll be able to set the standard of your facilities. You'll be able to set the kind of starting performance of your car, set your budget, and obviously build your team as well. So you can choose from real drivers. You could put Max and Lewis together in your team if you want to go all out.
Feels like it'd be a good team if you had them
together.
That
feels like a maybe less of a challenge than maybe if you dip into F2 and F3 for your drivers and your staff. Or if you want to go full fantasy, you can use generated players and staff as well. So there's a lot of flexibility, a lot of freedom, and to kind of set your own challenge.
So I was going to say, so I guess for more experienced players who maybe have sampled the previous games, this is another way to make that a bit more challenging for you if you were going to take a team, create it from the ground up, bringing in either drivers from F2, F1, or as you said, totally new drivers to make the change a little bit more difficult for them.
There's so many different stories that can be told through how you set up your team.
All right, so I was looking through some of the liveries that are on screen there, and it's not just, obviously, there's designs there that they can create, but also logos and sponsors and how they work and how they go into the game. Can you talk a little bit more about sort of how these work and the placement of them? Are they in fixed locations? You can only put them in certain spots? Or?
So you'll get to negotiate with the sponsors when you get into the game, and we've created 50 fictional sponsors.
Right.
So you'll negotiate with them. Once you have struck a deal, then you've got freedom to place them on your car.
It's super detailed. I mean, sort of, I think you could tell by the liveries we showed earlier on, just like how detailed you can go with this, and scaling and rotation and stuff like that, and placement. I love watching players create stuff and see what they do with the tools that you guys provide.
I can't wait to see what gets made.
I think there's going to be some really interesting, some really cool designs that go in there. But you did mention, though, it's not just the cars, right?
No, that's right.
It's also the race suits and the helmets. So this is also a tool that you guys have created for players to do, right?
Yeah, race suits and helmets, and you'll have the freedom to create your team logo as well. And you're going to see this branding that you create. You're going to see that through the race weekend. Yeah, you'll see it in your garage. You'll see it in your pit gantry. So your colours, your designs. You can see.
So it's reflected in. It's not just that's super cool. And one of the things I also noticed, and we were talking about this before we went live, although it's pre-recorded. But we did rehearse it. Ignore me, we did. But you can actually change livery as well, like for one-off races. So you can have like McLaren do sometimes. They come to Silverstone, they have a one-off livery.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean we've got so Shanghai is on the calendar this year. So if you want to create a bespoke livery for Shanghai, you can do that. You can do that mid-season for one race, and if you wanted to, you could create your own bespoke livery for each race of the season.
Someone will do that. I promise you, someone will do that. Someone in chat is already planning this out. They're like, I've always wanted to do this, and this is what it's going to look like, and I'm going to spend 50 hours just making all the liveries that I need for every single race. So we talked a little bit. We talked about livery. We talked about the tool you can use to create. We've talked about why we want to do it.
Yep.
We touched on the sponsorship deals. Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit more about the negotiation side of it and how that works?
So this mechanic will be in the main mode as well. So there's a whole new sponsorship mechanic throughout the game. But with Create a Team, you get to use these 50 fictional sponsors. So it really ties into that creative element as well. You will negotiate with your sponsors activities that your drivers may be undertaking, and they'll need to fulfil.
I'm conscious. I don't want to spoil too much, and I'm off screen chatting. You can't see this. I've got people in marketing looking at me. Don't say it. And Alex has lowered his glass at me because I'm in trouble. So we move on slightly. But yeah, it's really cool to see this new element is added into the game.
There's more to come on that for sure.
Yeah, there's more to come, and obviously we'll show you more about the actual editor itself. And then lastly, I want to sort of talk about, because you did touch on it. It's creating your team is not just about creating the liveries and the suits and stuff. It's creating the whole team, and it also can set a more challenging difficulty for players. So it is about the drivers and your starting conditions. So are you excited to see how many players are you going to create your own team?
Massively, yeah. I mean, I've been through the loop many times, created a lot of teams already, but yeah, I'll save it for release to create my proper team, my dream team. I'm not sure yet if I'll go kind of all guns blazing and build the dream team. I think what I'll come in fresh, new, maybe pick from F2 and set myself a bit of a challenge to climb the ranks. All
right. Well, look, we've talked, and to be fair, we've talked quite a bit about just the Create a team mode, and not
there's so
all
much
about
more.
the
There's
create
so
a
much
team
more to come.
mode. You touched on some of the key pillars. There's lots of tools that we'll have and we'll go through on future unlocks, and I've got notes here. We've got how you bring your racing brand to life. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about all the other elements that we'll take deep diving into. That isn't just about the creative side of it, sort of more the management side of things, like how you're going to manage the mentality of your drivers. You mentioned the mechanical failures on the racetrack itself. There are new additions within the game, as in tracks themselves, new cameras. There's a lot of new stuff. We're just talking about create a team and not all of it here. So join us another unlocks. Will you come back?
Hopefully, I'd like to. We'll see how this goes down.